that I played that. I mean, let me tell you a funny story. The third night in Paris on that '76 tour with the Stones, the third night, we played "Ain't No Use," and then the last song, Leo Art wanted to play "Johnny Be Good," so we broke into "Johnny Be Good." Leo, get in. We broke into "Johnny Be Good." Jagger and them thought we had, because they'd heard "Ain't No Use" in, they knew that was the last song, so they guys, they know that generally once we stopped, they was 5 minutes after we stopped, they on stage. So, they hear us playing Johnny Be Good, so they guys, they don't know that's us. They think it's the music playing, and they all come hauling out to the fucking stage, man. They run out on stage, and it's us on stage playing Johnny Be Good, and they all say, it's like, and and Ronnie was laughing, but Jagger, I remember Jagger mentioning, you blokes can play that stuff, huh? I mean, we've been playing this since I was 5 years old, I mean, we know how to play that. I mean, that's stuff we grew up on, it just got changed, when the British invasion took that R&B stuff, that old R&B stuff, and just started calling it rock and roll, but it's the same thing. It's music. That's me, me personally figuring, I think the labels should be done away with, because when you start labeling music, back in the old days when they labeled music, all it was to do was keep black musicians over here, white musicians over there, white musicians over here doing black music.
Right.
And that's what that was. That was all that was. It was the labels. So I never been a big fan of the label thing. I just I think it's music, and if you can play, you can play. It don't have a damn thing what it is, what it's called. It's music. So that's what I'm.
This might be a touchy question. Miles Davis.
Touchy.
Yeah, James Brown, Miles Davis, like they talk about how right away they can hear it's a black band or not. But we have like bands like Galactic, who I don't think I could tell. I was wondering what you thought about what it's like today.
Well, I don't know. I think I can. Yeah, in generally I can tell. Usually hear the difference between a way a black drummer approach a beat versus or a young white drummer. I can if it's Stanton, Zigaboo, Cyril Neville, who's not really a drummer but can play drums. If all three of those guys just start playing indiscriminately at different points, I can tell you who's playing. And that's and that has a lot to do with what that particular drummer. See, Stanton has a little thing that he does that tells on him all the time. Just outright, he does it all the time in every song. It's a little thing he does. Russell Batiste also has that little thing he does in every song that says, "I'm Russell Batiste, I'm Stanton Moore." Zigaboo, you never know where he's coming from because he never ever does these little things. He's like, and he has these, especially today. Like long time ago, it was more. He had that little thing that always kind of was his little signature. And but today Zig does some things. His approach now is so different from the way. I guess all of us, we done grew up. We're older, and some of the things that we used to be our little signatures, done changed. It has something to do with it, I guess, because in another world is that some of these younger players are coming out here that got far more better chops than we have. They physically play better than us. So then we have to actually figure out. We have to figure out a new signature that says that well, you might can outplay me, but I can pocket better. That's I don't have all them chops. Mule is bringing chops out of me that I've never ever, because all them 16th notes, shit, man, I ain't never done all that before in my life. That's like maybe when I was 16 years old, but. I don't. I think that song "What Is Hip" made me realize and say, bro, I don't want to ever play like that. I don't ever want to play like that. It's too many notes for me.
Right. Right.
was wondering if you could talk about how you approached the bass when you were 16 and nowadays.
Oh, when I was 16, I was a pretty busy player. I played real busy. That's what I was saying. And I wasn't quite sure if it was as much 16ths as versus triplets. But it was we used to always we played off the meter so much back in those days that it was like it was always kind of hard to figure out whose one are we listening to, because me and Zig always played off of each other rather than with each other all the time, and that's what made the meters what it was, is that we have these pockets of things like almost like fighting each other, but the shit be that it should be floating, and that was, I always called it brilliance, but most of the time we didn't know what we were doing back then. We didn't know how we come about doing that, And Zig once studied music, to try and figure out what he was doing, and he kind of got bored with the idea. By the time he started doing that, he was already in his 30s, and he didn't feel like he wanted to go to school anymore. Well, I studied music when I was 8, all the way up until about 15. So I had a working knowledge of how to read and write. I knew how to write drums more than I knew how to write guitar music. And my piano training was very limited. In fact, Zig's brother was my piano teacher. So but it was like I was a percussionist, I guess, because I learned more about writing drum music, and then as a melodic musician and playing bass and guitar, I had a really good knowledge of drums. I had a real work. I can, if I played something on my axe, I can go figure out and sit down and write a drum part that worked with my pattern. And so it was easy for me. I knew where Zig was going all the time because I knew, I'd go down and mathematically work it out. I said, yeah, you gotta go here. And when he gets there, I'm waiting for him.
Right.
And so that's and even today, that's one of the things that I do well, is that I read the drummer very. I can read the drummer. And Matt flips out all the time because I do shit. And he does things, and I meet him at the end of his phrase. He looks up and says,
right.
"How you got that?"
Right.
Because it's just that I read. I'm listening to him, and I'm reading him. And I'm playing off of him and with him.
I think it's just as important the other way around. Just the bass and drums. Do you think the drummers?
Well,